Welcome to Modern Day Abigails. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new." So let's listen to God's Word, where everyday lives transform and where we can become the women God created us to be. Fear, there are so many things that broken hearts, they cause anxiety, they cause fear, they cause...
Fear's a big one. They cause,
fear,
I think that's a
lot
big
of anxiety
one.
And fear are the two biggest.
Yeah.
And they also cause you to want to be a loner.
Depression.
They also cause us loneliness.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around people. And yet that is because that's where Satan wants to keep you. Because if Satan can keep you lonely, he can
isolated.
keep you in isolated. Yeah. He can keep you in fear, and he can keep you in an anxiety. And you're basically a captive to Satan.
Because he's the only one you're listening to.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anybody else in your life that's influencing you in the right way or helping you.
Yeah. And in some
sometimes
cases,
you don't even want it anyway.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll meet that person.
Argue.
Yeah. Or you're going to talk about it and not actually do anything about it. Hey, how are you doing? Well, I'm not good. Okay. That's what you told me 3 weeks ago. Why haven't we had a change yet?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What do you need? How can I help you? But that's what we're talking about here. And what you said is that we have to allow God to heal us and change us and bless us. We have to see that God wants to bless us, that he wants us to give us the good gifts.
Yeah. Well, and
good gifts, I'm not talking about prosperity preaching. I'm not talking about the good gifts.
No, blessings. And those come in all forms.
Yes. I'm not talking about prosperity. He wants to reward our diligence. Heaven is going to be our reward.
Right. Absolutely.
And he's going to take good care of us. This world is getting darker by the second. And what we need to do is lean on Jesus and let him take care of us. Because one day, I really do believe Dove's mom was correct. We're going to be praying food in the bowls. But I actually am looking forward to that. Because I think the true believers in Jesus are going to see miracles that hadn't been seen in a long time. And we're going to get to experience that. And I get so excited thinking about what the Lord is going to do. Like, have you ever thought about it? What it'd be like to have manna?
I have thought about manna, but probably not in the way that you've thought about manna.
I have thought about, I just, oh my gosh, walk out the door and there's like manna. I'm excited.
See, I think of it differently. I have their mindset.
But it tastes like honey.
I know.
I'm excited.
But
I'm excited to think about I might be able to wake up one morning and have manna on the ground so I could pick it up and eat it. Because that's all we got.
I know, but off the ground? Anna, listen, this is my view. I'm like, I'm reading, as I read, okay, don't listen to me. But as I read that, I would be the one that the Lord would kill.
I don't know. The Lord knows you. Like, he also might say, Joanna.
I'm not picking that off the ground.
He also might go, Joanna, I need you to stick a bowl out there.
Oh, gosh.
Just stick a bowl out in the spot right here.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'd be like, Lord, I'm not pick that off the ground and eat. I'll just sit here and starve. I'm all right with that.
Then again, the Lord might go, well, when you're really hungry, you will pick it off the ground.
Maybe so.
Because I keep telling Lord, please don't let me ever be so hungry I have to eat a roach. Please, God.
Oh, my God.
Please, no.
Oh, Anna. I'd die first. Just kill me now.
I hope the ladies are having as much fun as we are.
Kill me now because that is not happening.
Joanna, like Ray says all the time, if the Bible doesn't excite you, you're not reading it.
For real.
Or as Dove says, if the Bible doesn't excite you, your wood's wet.
Right. Okay. And here's another thing. I think we're so off topic. Here's another thing that I think
really.
about.
We're talking about changing lives.
The sacrifices, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not getting blood on my clothes.
Well, thankfully, you couldn't be a Levite to do that.
Oh, I know, right?
Remember, you didn't have to do that. That was the Levites. You're safe. You're a woman.
The smell of, no. See, the Lord, okay, this is why I'm in this era where there is sanitizer and soap and wipes, because he already knew I would not survive.
And I'm over here going,
I couldn't be one of those peasants who didn't have the luxuries of some type of water.
I do like my flushing toilet.
Thank you.
But I could live without everything else. Nope. I just need a flushing toilet. Oh, wait. I take it back. I need a hot shower.
And running water to wash your hands?
I guess I just figured that's going to come come with it if I have a hot shower.
Okay, I'm just saying. You might not have a hot shower. Listen,
I do thank the Lord all the time for my hot showers because I do think about it. I'm like, Lord, some people don't get a hot shower.
I thank Him for soap.
Yeah. So, because some people don't have soap or hot water.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for it.
I thank you for soap. I literally couldn't.
I mean, the little things, y'all. Thank the Lord for the little things.
Lord, help us all.
All right. So we're sorry. Not really. We're having fun.
And if he's going to be like, we're going to get a text and say, when does the podcast actually start?
Yeah. We do get some fun texts every once in a while.
Yeah.
We're starting it. We're just talking about how to make it. We're taking the Bible and showing how to apply to our lives. Oh, I was going to say that earlier, and I didn't get to. When I was talking about Stevie going to a private school, I totally lost track. Because what happened
I don't know how we do that.
I don't know. Me neither. And that's what I'm saying. We are not for all women. We totally understand that.
Yeah.
So the
but
reason
we do love you, gals.
Yes, we do.
Listen, even if it's only once.
Yes, exactly. We appreciate it. So that's what I was going to mention is we went to one of the schools. I went to go check it out. It was a really good price, which personally to me was a red flag. How are you this cheap and this huge of a school? Because I've been to cheaper schools, but they were small. This one was huge. And I'm like, how is that even possible? So I went to meet the person, and the two things he told me that were red flags, and how I stayed there, I was polite. The Lord had me be polite. And it was one of those situations where they didn't call me back either to see if I was interested again.
It was a mutual.
It was pretty mutual because he goes, I said, what about the Bible study? He goes, oh, well, we don't really study the Bible. We're reading Beth Moore. And I looked at him and go, wait, your men are reading Beth Moore? Well, it shocked him and me too, but for different reasons. And he goes, well, the kids told us that they wanted a way to study and apply it to their lives. You mean not the Bible? So that bothered me is that these kids were under the impression that the Bible was not applicable to their lives today. And that's what we're showing is this Bible, even though this happened thousands of years ago, it's still very applicable today. And that's why we're having fun, because we're learning how to live our lives today from women over 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And it's still just applicable.
Yeah. And not even 2,000 years ago. Yeah. That was Jesus. Some of these are way pre-Jesus.
Exactly.
Well,
we know this one is. And this is the exciting part is how the Lord used the women, because there's a bad reputation that that women are oppressed and all this in the Bible. I'm like, you're not reading it, because a lot of these women are not. Yes, there were terrible men and they did abuse their wives, but God never liked that. He never condoned that. He never condoned it. He didn't even condone having multiple wives.
No, he didn't.
And he's just like, if you can't figure it out by living it and reading about other people's problems, that's on us.
I agree.
Name me one guy in the Bible who had more than one wife and it worked out well.
I don't.
No. Nope.
Even great men like David. I mean, there was
his whole household
whole
fiasco. I mean, even Hannah and
his
Peninnah,
kids.
he only had two wives and it didn't work out. Jacob with Leah and Rachel, that didn't work out. Abraham with his wives didn't work. None of them worked out. Not one.
No. Agree.
Anyway, so back to you. Sorry.
All right, let me look at my notes. Where are we at?
We're at version 2.0.
Okay. Should I recap?
1?
Yeah, let me see.
So we were talking about Ruth, and they were talking about how Ruth represents the Gentiles. She's,
right.
So now we're going,
All right, so I'm going to start with that. So Ruth, this is still recapping chapter 1 from last time. So Ruth clung to Naomi, and she refused to leave her no matter what lay ahead on their journey. That's what started it. We were talking about our journey.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, and the flip side of that is how in relation to the Jews walked away, like Amalek, he left the house of bread. The Jews walked away from the house of bread, which is their life giver, aka Jesus. However, one remnant returned, as is his promise. He will keep a remnant of his beloved to carry on, and the Jews are his beloved. In this case, Naomi is a representation of that remnant. Okay, so that's where we left off. So Naomi made it home with Ruth, and she changed her name. Naomi changed her name to Mara. So Naomi means sweet. Mara means bitter, because she was just so broken in so many ways and so very bitter about her situation. All she knew at this point in her life is that she had to get back home to those who she thought could help her. And sometimes, gals, we are just so broken, and all we know to do is to cry out as a last resort to God in hopes that He will help us. And you know what? He does. Not necessarily in the way that we think or the way that we want. Because, and as an example of that, I thought that when I cried out to God to heal my husband of his fanatical addictions and the man that I prayed he could be, I cried out to God that God would heal him, and that I cried out to God and prayed that He would heal our marriage as well. And that's exactly what I thought God was going to do. I thought God, after all of this prayer, I thought that's exactly what God was going to do, that He was going to heal us. And I believed it with all my heart. I never thought for 1 second that that would not happen. But instead, God removed me, and He got me to safety, and He dissolved my marriage and my former life. And then He began healing me inside and out, and He gave me a new life. And that is how God helped me. So just the way that we think that God's going to do it is often not the way that God does it, because He has a different plan. He sees all, He knows all, and He knows what's best for us. So if you're crying out to God and you're expecting something to happen, I truly believe something will happen. It just may not be your something that's in your head. And
it might not be in your time. It's going to be in His time, because I can tell you all the prayers I've done for years, including my own health. It was 6 years of praying before He even showed me what the problem was. And now it's been almost 9-year journey trying to get to I'm at the point where now I finally see the end of the tunnel. And I think there's some things I'm going to have to always manage for the rest of my life, like my liver. I think I'm going to have to manage it. And the funny part is I didn't even damage my liver, like from drinking or anything. And it's not like I ate fast food that much.
I've never even seen you drink.
I know. So that's what I mean. So it's not like I damaged my liver. I mean, yes, fast food is going to do some damage to the liver, but it's just my liver is not where it should be. So I think I'm probably between my adrenal glands and my liver and my thyroid. And it could be because my thyroid, I have issues with my liver. And those are the things I'm just going to have to manage for the rest of my life. And it's okay, because we're doing it through naturally, and it's sustainable when it's natural.
Right. Because it's the minerals and vitamins and herbs are literally healing your body inside out. But again, this is not how you thought that it was going to go.
No,
God does. He answered your prayer.
Oh yeah, He did.
He just did it a different way.
Yeah, He did it through a very long journey instead of, Lord, I've read your Bible. You spit on the ground and put mud on somebody's eyes and healed the blind. Yeah. You did this and that to heal the blind. You healed the lame. You healed the demon possessed. Yeah. Could you not just make my whole body work? And the Lord's like, nope.
Yep.
And
He can.
Yeah, He could. He just said no.
Right, because He's using it for a different. Yes. He's a multi-purpose. Listen, you want to talk about a multitasker?
Oh yeah.
God's the ultimate multitasker.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm learning self-control. Yeah. I'm learning long-suffering. I'm learning how to pray, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Amen.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
And now I get to share my journey with others and help them.
Yeah, which you have been doing for years.
Exactly, because, hey, if I'm going to go through
even had your doctor on.
Yes, exactly. I mean.
Who we hope to have on again soon after she has her baby.
Yeah, because she had a good topic. How we parent in our how we parent based on a situation or our thought. Yeah. And we wound up parenting from our thought process instead of what's really happening.
That's correct.
So that's going to be a great, and that's what's going to be a great topic for us to talk, and how we have to make sure we have to watch the scenarios that we create and not live by them.
Key word, that we create.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because we're trying to foresee things. You know, I have a family member, and she always says, well, I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be this, and this, and this. And my answer to her 100% of the time is, every time that you say this, which is often, never once, not one time has it come true. And if I'm wrong, tell me what time that was. Not one time has your scenarios that you're freaking out about have ever come true. Not one time.
Exactly.
And they haven't. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, life doesn't go the way that we think, but God does hear us and he does step in.
Yes.
But again, as we've said so many times, he's a gentleman. The Lord does not force himself on our situation.
And he's going to step in at the right point in time.
That's right.
Yeah. Like the poor doctor, as last I heard, she's still pregnant. She's overdue.
Right. Poor thing.
I know. I feel bad.
Poor thing. So, okay. So what we see is that Naomi / Mara, we don't know what she's going by at this moment.
Well, remember, God would not let her use Mara. He refused. Every time the Bible referenced her, she's Naomi.
Yes,
she only called herself Mara. The Bible's like,
yes,
nope, you're Naomi.
Exactly.
I'm not going to let you call yourself bitter because I don't see you bitter. I see you as Naomi.
Exactly.
Okay.
I noticed that when I was reading chapter 2. I'm like, wait a minute, this keeps saying Naomi. In reality, that's because that's how the Bible references her. And I actually laughed. I noticed that last night when I was rereading my notes. I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, there are times where Anna and I will both be in a pity party.
Yep.
Not usually at the same time. It does happen at the same time. But at some point we'll be like, okay, are you good? Are you done? Because really here's what's actually going. Now that you're coming out of your pity party, here's my view of what's actually happened.
Exactly.
Which is not what really in your head happened. We have said that before too.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's never a fun convo.
No.
But we still have it. So anyway, Naomi, she doesn't know it yet, but we are about to see some amazing puzzle pieces being put together in her new life, as well as in her daughter-in-law who followed her home to her people and her God. And will she stay bitter and broken in despair? We don't know. Let's take a stroll.
No, we do know. We're just not going to tell you the answer.
Right. We're not going to spoil.
You don't know.
No spoiler. We do know.
If you read it, then you know. But if you haven't read it, we're not saying don't read it. We're just saying that at the moment, you don't know.
Right. So let's take a stroll through the verses.
That bum drum thing?
You just did it.
Dun, dun, dun. Did I? I guess I did.
I'm not sure.
Oh, well, anyway.
Sure.
Okay.
Bum, bum, bum. No.
No. Got to go down. Brrr. No. Bum, bum, bum. No. Anyway. We're good. Sorry, ladies.
Okay, this could go on for another 5 minutes. So I think you need to Google that one. Let's YouTube
What am I going to type in here?
We need to ask Ray. Yes. We need to ask Ray to see if he can insert it.
There's some sounds in that thing, but I don't think it's the dun, dun, dun. There we go.
Look, I'm going to write down the time, and I'm going to see if he can insert that. 1.36. 1.36. Bum.
Dun,
bum.
Bum.
He's going to be like, no, I can't insert that, girls.
He's going to be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Watch some Scooby-Doo. Not the new stuff. Those are dumb. I'm talking about the late 60s, early 70s Scooby-Doo. The real Scooby-Doo.
Goodness.
Okay.
All right.
That's the coffee I drank.
Yes. And you had 2 cups at brunch.
And I'm working on a third one.
And that's the third one they sent home with you which is 4 cups right there. Because it's 2 cup. It's a big cup. Big cup. Anyway, okay. So we're going to start our stroll beginning with chapter 1, the last verse. And it says, and then we're going to continue on to chapter 2. Okay. Because I think that the last verse kind of went with chapter 2. It kind of flows in.
Yeah, it does. It's important to know this.
Let's start there.
God did visit his people.
Yes. So now they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. So chapter 2, verse 1. There was a relative of Naomi's husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. So Ruth, the Moabitess, said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean heads of grain after him, in whose sight I find favor. So I want us to keep this particular verse in our mind, back of our mind, because we're going to use it again in a little while. Okay. And she said to her, and Naomi said to her, go, my daughter. So what I love about that right there is that she still calls her daughter.
And what I also like is how respectful Ruth is towards her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And she's in a new country,
it's just
new people.
Sweet endearment they have. I love it.
And
they love each other.
She wants to do it right. Ruth wants to do it right. She's asking permission. She
doesn't even know what she's supposed to be doing.
Because all she knows, she's in a new country with new people, and she doesn't want to mess it up. She wants to be respectful. And this is, I don't think you talked about this because I don't remember reading it. Think about it as us being Gentiles towards the Jewish people. We're supposed to be respectful. It's their country, their people. What right do we have to just intervene? So we need to be respectful and say, hey, how can I help you? So, I mean, right now, depending on when you listen to this, over a year ago, we had is it Hezbollah? The bad guys.
Hezbollah.
Was it them? Anyway, they took hostages. The Israeli hostages.
There's a war going on in Israel, and it's still continuing today.
Exactly. They have in Gaza. They took hostages. They still have a bunch of hostages. A bunch are dead. They still have some. And Israel right now has been attacking their enemies. Finally, I mean, they have been working. They've tried to do it the right.
Buildings are crumbling.
Yeah, but they're and the enemy is continuously sending bombs, but very rarely do any of the bombs actually hit anything. But they have been hitting some of the areas in Israel. But and that's what I liked about what Ruth did. This is your country. This is your people. I want to be respectful and I want to do what's right.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go in there and tear up the country.
Oh, willy-nilly.
That's how we should be. It's their country. They have the right
to protect. With her own Moabite rules that she comes in customs, which are very different than Jews.
Good point. Exactly. So she's being respectful. She's trying to go in there, do it the right way. And as Gentiles, we need to be the right way towards the Israeli people. It's their country. They have the right to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
Is it the way we do it? I don't know. Maybe not. But it's their country, their people. They got to protect them. They need to do what they need to do to take care of their people, their country. And yes, it is their country because first, God says it's their country.
Yep.
And second, if we want to count the UN, May 14th, 1948 was decided it was their country. And then when the enemies of Israel had tried to take the country back by force, called the was that the Yom Kippur Wars? One of them was right after they became
28 days.
Well, one of them was like 6 days. One of them was a 6-day. Well, I think there's two wars. There's a 6-day war, which I can't remember if that happened right after Israel became a nation or later on in 1967. But whatever that war was in 1967, that's when their land increased because they won again. And so it's their land. So anyway, back to you.
Okay, that was so good. I'm like totally... Now I got to switch gears.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, let me think about this. Oh, I wanted to play off that.
Okay.
Because what she did is, like I said, she didn't go in there all willy-nilly. She was like, hey, these are my thoughts. This is what I'd like to do. What do you think?
Yeah,
Can I? Is
exactly.
that a good idea? She was, again, like you said, being so respectful of, one, her elder.
Yes.
Two, the woman she just loved.
Yes, she
loved
loves
her. And this is her world. This is her town, her hometown.
This is Naomi's world. This is Naomi's town. This is Naomi's people. And Ruth she told her, let your people be my people.
Yeah.
So so she wants to do it right.
And you know what, ladies? Some of y'all are not going to like us when I'm about to say this, and you're probably going to never listen to us again. And I'm sorry about that, but I'm not sorry. But this is also a good, this is not in the notes, Anna. This is a good picture of submission.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
You're right.
Now listen, I'm not talking about, I got to submit to my husband. Listen, there's an order. It is right. God. Your husband submits to God himself, and then you submit to your husband, and then your kids submit to you. So there is an order for your home to be able to run smoothly and non-chaotically. Now, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a chaotic day, of course.
Yeah, that's always spiritual warfare.
Yeah,
and when you submit to your husband, you're submitting to God.
Yeah,
and we're not talking about a doormat. We're not talking about getting walked over. We're not talking about abuse.
Which we have a podcast on this, so you can go back and find it. Don't know what the name of it is.
I don't remember either. But it's not about abuse or anything.
No.
It's I think it was the one we talked about, quiet, gentle spirit. Anyway, maybe it was a whole separate on a submissiveness.
It was a whole separate one.
But she's right when she says
this.
We
should know this.
Yeah, we should. We don't.
Sorry.
But she's right that, we have to speak God's word. There is an order. Joanna, is the letter A better than the letter B?
No.
Is the number 1 better than the number 2?
No.
Well,
it depends.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I think of accounting terms and I think about poop, yeah.
I was thinking about trophies, but okay.
Maybe that wasn't a good example. Maybe that's not. Okay, let's go back to the letter. Let's go back to the letter A. It's the letter A.
We love y'all for who are still listening.
Yeah, if you turned us off by now, I don't blame you.
Yeah, right.
So the letter A is not better than the letter B. Okay. God has an order, not because one is better than the other, but because they function properly in we can't all be doing the same thing. So to properly function, he gave us different roles, different jobs, and so we can work together and have a harmonious household.
Yep. I'm sitting here shaking my head. Y'all can't see me, but I'm shaking my head. Yes. Yep. Totally agree with all this. Okay. So, all right. So that was through verse 2. We only made it to 2. We only made it to 2.
And if you're not, if you're living in the house with your dad because you're not married, if we have younger women listening.
Speak up. This is good.
Yeah. So if you're a younger woman and you're in the household, your dad is the one you're supposed to be submissive to. Not, like I said, not in a bad way. But
you have,
when Stephen decided, or my ex-husband decided, he didn't.
You have example of this, but that's not what I'm trying to say.
I lived it.
You have, what's the word?
Example?
No.
Lived it?
You have.
Because when my ex-husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, I went back home.
Yes,
and
you did.
I was under my dad's authority.
Yeah.
And so, and my dad was being protective, and there were things that even though I was grown, I was over 18, I was in my 20s, I had a child, but I still was under his household and had to be submissive in that way. So when he would, when he was like, "Hey, I'd rather you put Stevie in a private school, let's work out a deal," I said, okay. At first I didn't want to, but he was patient. And then I was like, okay, I get what you're doing. Okay.
Sorry, I was looking at word hippo, trying to figure out what I was trying to say because the word example was not right. It makes no difference. We're moving on.
Okay.
So, but that's exactly what I wanted you to tell that story because it's a perfect example.
Yeah.
That is the right word for this particular set. No.
Illustration?
Like when you've lived it. You've actually lived
testimony?
it. Okay, sure.
Okay.
So that's
okay.
It starts with a C or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll think of it tonight when it wakes me up in the middle of the night.
Text me.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to. Even if it's 3 a.m. It's happening.
That's fine.
It's happening.
I'll hear my phone go off and go, "Oh, it's the word." And then I'm going to look at it and go, "Oh, yeah."
Or, "Oh, my gosh, that's so dumb. Why didn't we think of that?"
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Because it's an easy word. We use it all the time. And so that's why I can't figure out what it is. Anywho. All right, let's move on. Okay. So we're going to set the stage for just a minute. Okay. So God made a rule. This is what makes the 2 previous verses important, okay? About the gleaning and going to the field, okay? So God made a rule that the farmers and the field owners were not allowed to harvest or glean the outer edges of their fields so that the poor and the destitute could come in and glean them for the food instead. Glean meaning pick up and like harvest, like right. Cut the wheat,
Right.
Okay. So so the Lord had a protection for them so that they would always have some food, right? Okay. So and that's exactly what Ruth was about to do. She was going to go and she was going to find a field and she was going to glean it so that she could feed her and Naomi.
And then maybe have a little extra to sell to buy the things that they need to get, like material.
Sure. Does it say that?
Oh, I'm just making an assumption.
I think that's a great one.
Yeah, I'm making an assumption that it would be enough to eat and sell so they can get other things that they need. Money. Yeah, because there's other things they're going to need.
That's absolutely right. Okay, that's cool. I wasn't thinking that far ahead.
Or trade. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for letting us share our tools to become the women God created us to be. If we encouraged you today, visit us at moderndayabigails.com. Remember, you are loved, cherished, and prayed over.